Okay, this is the game that I'm playing right now currently. I'm trying to switch the music, but not get my game aborted. Looking for something bigger. What is wrong with her? Okay, here we go. We got the real tunes in here. The original tunes. If you don't, okay. No new comments. Let's get some chess matches going. All right, so this is my usual system that I use all the time against somebody that plays d4. Is I do d5 because I'm more of a classical type of player, so you're never going to see me do it a hyper modern opening. And so now my opponent did g3. After g3, I can immediately do the move bishop to f5 since they're not going to be pushing their c pawn or putting their knight to c3. They might do it later on, but since they didn't do it earlier, that gives me permission to now do the move bishop to f5. If they do c4 now, trying to do queen b3, then I can kind of like stop the threats between d5 and b7 very quickly if they can do the move queen to b3. Now, we're going to do the move e6, trying to castle the king as soon as possible. They can do the move knight to h4 to target our bishop on f5. So maybe I should be thinking about the move h6 in this position, which I will do a quick h6 very quick since I have time to do so. That's what you should be doing according to the stream title. Yeah, that is true according to the stream title. Explaining my moves. Explain why e5. What do you mean? I didn't do e5. Explain why I did e6 to get this bishop out. Because I want to develop my pieces as fast as possible. Now, the only thing that I have to think about is where to develop this bishop. Usually I do, like, if I'm playing a fast game, I usually do like a quick bishop e7 to not be pinned along this diagonal. But since our opponent did knight to c3, we really don't have to worry about that. Actually, I can go ahead. So I want to do bishop to d6, but I really don't want to deal with the move knight to b5 here because I don't want my opponent taking my good dark square bishop. I don't want them doing that. But I do need to develop the bishop to castle king side. I could do a quick c5 in this position, maybe just to see what my opponent is talking about. Do a quick c5, but they can do like this type of motion with bishop to f4, knight to b5, threatening this fork on c7. I don't know how much I like that. c5, bishop f4, maybe I could do like a quick a6 too. Let's try to confuse them right quick. We're gonna do c5 first. If they capture, I don't mind capturing back with the bishop. And I'm able to do this since they decided to do knight to c3 first instead of doing the move c4 or even c3. They developed their pieces a little bit weird. Some people like pushing up the c pawn and some people like putting the knight in front of that c pawn. You're just gonna have to decide and choose which way that you want to play. And so now in this position, can everybody hear me correctly just to make sure? All right, I think everybody can hear me correctly. I don't know. Okay, so I could take this pawn on d4. I could do bishop to d6. Well, I can't do bishop to d6 because they are threatening to take this pawn. Since they are threatening to take this pawn, I can do a weird move like queen to c8, weirdly enough. But I think the legitimate move to do here is actually bishop to e7. Because if I do bishop to e6, they still have this annoying knight to b5 move. So we're going to just play... oh, crap. I forgot that pawn is just loose there. I was thinking about taking first, then doing bishop e7. But we can still, like, snaggle that pawn right on up with the move queen to a5. We can still snaggle that pawn right on up. Queen a5, knight to knight to a6, etc. So really wasn't a big mess up, but at the same time, that was a bad calculation on my part. That is a bad start to this game. Wait, never mind. That isn't e5. That's d5. Yeah, I'm a d5 type of player. I'm not a King's Indian defense type of player. So you're never going to see me starting off with the move knight to f6 unless like I'm playing a specific player that hates the move knight to f6 and I can get into like a certain opening that I like to play. But these are my type of positions because I know them very well. Just like how I found the plan if they do capture this pawn on c5, which hopefully that's not just a pawn that they can keep for the entirety of the game. But yeah, that's my plan. If they don't take, then I'm gonna take. Knight captures back, probably most likely put the bishop back to g6. I can't allow them to take this bishop on the f5 square because that would split up my pawn. So I would have to put the bishop back and then see how my opponent's gonna develop after that. And we're gonna do full analysis after the games. We're gonna do full analysis. I3 Gacy, hey, how you doing? So our opponent is going into like a little think tank, and they're probably thinking about taking that pawn on c5, which they're probably thinking about my next move. They might be stream sniping. I don't know. They shouldn't be because, you know, they could just watch the video right afterwards. But I would prefer y'all not to stream snipe. But how would I ever know? How would I ever know? I don't think it really matters at the level that you are. Actually, let me just triple check the level that you're at because it shows 1000, but you might be actually stronger. Okay, so you're around 1000. All right, so it really doesn't matter exactly at that level unless you have like some extreme rating on Leech on the other platform. And so let's figure out exactly what we're doing here. Pawn captures, queen here, maybe pawn here. That could be a potential threat here. So I might have to go this direction first because queen a5 actually runs it to a6. So let's attack this pawn that direction, going knight to a6 instead of a queen to a5, which they could have did a3. And so if I would have took, then they could have forked me with a3 b4 if I would have went queen a5. Usually if I can capture this pawn, then black's position is pretty safe, and I already won like the opening in this game. I already pretty much won if I can get a clear balanced position in development, and the first battle is done. Sometimes when you're playing chess, you got to think about the different phases of the game as battles, and if you can survive the opening, especially with the black pieces, because the black pieces go second in the game of chess, not just because they're black, but the black pieces go second in the game of chess. So generally speaking, white should be head up on time and be in positions where they're more comfortable with and that they have a little advantage in. So what I'm saying is, after I take this pawn any other way and they don't have any other specific threats, then this game might easily become a balanced position. And black's goal is, once you make it a balanced position, now I can start forming my own ideas of attacking my opponent, of causing threats, maybe taking some space on the queen side, maybe pawn rushing on the king side. I don't know. I'm gonna think it up as I go. Let me Google the next move. Hey, chill, Spiny. No, just because they're black. So they did do queen to d4. The only reason why that doesn't work is because I have the move bishop takes on c5, and they don't want to give away their queen for the bishop because the knight will just recapture back. Bishop takes on c5. The queen can check us right here. I guess that's one other move that we're gonna have to consider, but I don't mind doing the move. I could just take with the knight, possibly too. I kind of like bishop takes on c5 a lot better because it's attacking the queen. The queen has to move over, has to move somewhere, and it's less moves to think about. I could be greedy and just take this pawn. I could be ultra greedy, but the king is still in the center, which is a little bit concerning to me, because with the queen still in the center, after I take this pawn, they could do b4 and protect that pawn on c5. And I really don't know how I feel about that position. So this is the only thing I'm pretty much going to be calculating. Bishop takes on c5. Is there any other checks by my opponent? Is there any other captures? That captures whack. That captures whack. And then we got this check. And I'm thinking that's going to be their main move. Unless they want to do a super passive move. Bishop takes on c5. Queen moves back. And I could most likely castle in that position. Unless they want to sacrifice on h6. I can most likely just castle and be good. And so after bishop takes on c5, queen moves over to a4, check. I'm pretty confident that I could just queen trade. If they don't want to queen trade, move the queen back, then I could take their bishop. Now, since we're
Momo5 just raided with 2 viewers.
Hey, just raided with 2 views. What's up, bro? And dude, bro. Give me 1 second, guys. I gotta shout this guy out for the raid. I appreciate you, buddy. My friend. My brother from another mother. My brother from another mother. I'm about to get right back to the content, guys. I just gotta do the streaming stuff because I'm officially a streamer now. So shout out to you. So back to this position. Oh yeah, we're getting low on time, so I don't have enough time to explain it anymore, but we are going to be taking this. And remember, the knight is defending the bishop on c5. That is an important factor. The knight is defending the bishop on c5. If this check happens on a4, queen moves up, queen trade, maybe, possibly, take back with the knight, and then we're gonna have a balanced position. And then after that, their knight is on the edge. I will be attacking the c2 pawn, and they have some problems to solve, but the only problem I'm gonna have to solve at the end of that is actually castling. Why did the chess master throw up on the boat? Yeah, that's my joke. You got my pinned joke. If anybody can make a better joke in the chat right now, then I will pin your comment. So that's one move that we didn't consider. And we didn't consider it for good reason too, because I'm thinking g5 actually is the best move here. But if we're gonna do the move g5, then we have to calculate every good possible move. Because after g5, there's a whole lot of captures our opponent could do. If bishop takes, then we could just capture their queen. So with a move like g5, they have to like move their queen somewhere. With g5, maybe queen to e5, and then we would capture bishop first because I don't like that tension along that diagonal. But if we capture bishop first, they can capture with the pawn and be attacking our knight. So g5, they still have this check that we're gonna have to consider. So maybe it is not a fork because we still have to do this, and then they have the opportunity to move their knight. But do we really care about castling if some of the pieces are already off the board? We could make this a very odd position that our opponent doesn't want to play here. But at the same time, that knight on h4 is pretty decent. That tension is on the bishop right now. If I just castled, that would be fine too, I'm pretty sure. Hard decisions, but my instinct, y'all already know my instinct is to play some passive chess. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do the move castle kingside. Safest move on the board. Let's get it. Sup, my Jamaican brother. What's up to you? Yo, H1, trying to play a game after you finish this? Yeah, Franz, we can play a game. If we're gonna play a game though, you're gonna have to join the Discord. Let me get in there right now. That's the only option. Actually, I will be explaining the games. You know what? Never mind. You don't have to join the Discord because I still want to explain my thought process when I'm playing you. And I might be... and you're a strong opponent, so I don't want you to hear my ideas. You're a strong opponent. See the time, I know, and I'm watching the time too, so I'm gonna have to go a little bit quicker because anything can happen in the World Wrestling Federation. Chess Dexter, what's up? How you doing? N4, what's up? Hope the stream is going well. Thank you. I appreciate all the support from all of you. Let's keep on going with the advice. Are you not entertained? Are you not learning something? Hopefully you are. I'm not home right now. I'm in the library waiting an essay, but I need a break. Okay, I got you. Oh, so I pre-moved that move, knight taking back the bishop because, I mean, why not? And so now we have this
Int4_Mo5 just followed.
we have this other fork now that's happening. There's like forks everywhere, and our opponent couldn't escape from it. But if we're gonna push up that pawn, we're gonna have to think about the rook going to the d file. And so, is it really a fork? We do get a pawn out of it. We do get a pawn out of it. You know what? I'm gonna let my opponent deal with this this move. We're gonna go a little bit faster. I do have a 5-second increment, so I can still discuss my moves. But I think this is perfectly fine. My bishop is gonna get out. My knights are doing perfectly fine. And if they do the move, rook to d1, which I'm thinking is forced, or they're just gonna like lose a piece here. Maybe it's not forced. Well, they're losing a pawn no matter what. I was thinking about like this move too, but they're definitely losing something. They're definitely losing something. I am entertained. I'm glad you're entertained. Bro, he's a stream sniping. It doesn't matter if he's stream sniping, guys. At a certain level, it really doesn't matter. Yeah, it's a good move. And a rook. Your chessboard looks amazing. Thank you. I appreciate it. This chess game looks amazing too. Thank you for the follow, N4. I appreciate it. So let's just keep on explaining things right quick. So these are the main moves that we're looking for, that I think has to be played, and they're gonna have to think of counterplay, which could happen. So they did play this move, attacking this knight here, which we can do knight to d7 attacking the queen, but then they can just take the pawn. So that's not really the best move here. The best move that I've seen in the position is taking this knight. If they do that, then we're gonna get it. We're gonna get an extra pawn out of this. There's no way we're not getting an extra pawn. Right. So the rook can go to c8 in this position. Am I okay? The rook can go to c8, attacking the queen. Let me just get this mic to be a little bit up. The rook can go to c8 to hit this queen, or I can take this pawn. We're gonna take the pawn just to be a little bit faster, put some pressure on our opponent. Gonna take this pawn. But then we might do moves like rook to c8 to hit the queen. We could protect that pawn. Maybe that might be worthwhile too. We're gonna do this in a hurry. I don't ever have to think about this. We're gonna do this in a hurry, because if the queen moves away anywhere, I mean, they're gonna just have to deal with the consequences. So that is a very good move, actually. That's a very good move. But the main goal was taking these two pawns in the center, that C pawn and that E pawn. We're gonna take that C pawn and that E pawn. If they do capture this, I think we can just go into like a pawn up end game and just finesse this. And finessing a position, getting an equalizing position, especially in the opening, is fantastic. Just for y'all to know. Most people don't like playing these drawish positions because they don't know how to like finesse the opponent or not do any like major blunder. But it's like really important to like figure out how to finesse the opponent in these end games that you're a little bit better, because I'm literally up a B pawn. So my main goal is going to be trading all the pieces and trying to push up that B pawn to be a queen. We're trying to make sure that pawn is a track star. So usually in these endgames with symmetrical pawn structures, we already know our main goal is to be pushing these pawns. But at the same time, we could do these like annoying moves to attack our opponent's pawns. And we should actually still be looking at ways to attack our opponent's pieces. that are productive, of course. So immediately I can see this move right here to attack my opponent's pieces, both of their pawns. And so my opponent's going to be like having to keep on protecting their pawns, and they're not going to be able to do anything else unless I massively blunder in this endgame. So now my opponent has time pressure, they're down a pawn, and they're supposed to defend this in under 1 minute. This is how you put pressure on the opponent to make a mistake. Just all of these at the same time hitting. It's not a very fun task, guys. It is not a very fun task trying to do this. And so normally I would just play super fast here because the moves just play for themselves, honestly. But let's just keep on doing good moves. So we want to push the pawns, but we need to get all of our pieces developed first. So let's do rook to d8. Our bishop is kind of good. We need to put the bishop at a better square. Maybe put the knight at a better square. Probably do knight to d7, knight to c5, maybe. Possibly trade queens off. So these are all the plans that I'm thinking of right now. So I seen this, and that's why I doubled up, because I wanted to do queen to d7. I wanted to protect this pawn, and I wanted to... So I don't like that move by the opponent because they pretty much closed off both of their pieces. They pretty much closed off both of their pieces. And so this is what we're going to do. We're going to do rook to d2. And we're just going to play really fast and keep on threatening stuff. Even if they try to do rook to c1, we're probably just going to block them and do the move. Do that. Okay, so they're trying to do the move e4 to try to block off our bishop. Pretty interesting, actually. Pretty interesting. And they can get their knight back into the game. So we don't want to get below on time. Let's just do that. And now I got to think about this because I really don't want them getting back up on time. We're going to put the knight to d7. And then we're going to put the knight to c5 because I don't want their rook ever infiltrating behind my side walls. And this is pretty much how like strategy works in chess. It's pretty much how strategy works in chess. You want to make sure your opponent is restricted as much as possible with no counterplay. None. So they probably wanted to trade off pieces since their position is kind of bad to play. Kind of bad to play, which I don't think we would have a real problem trading off pieces. But I usually, when you start facing off against tougher opponents, you need more than a pawn advantage. So I'm not actually going to trade here. I'm going to do the move rook to d1. And that is a free rook. There you go. And that's how you do it. Did you say a b1 pawn was hanging? All right. And then this is just an easy game to convert. Just taking that. All right, they're going to keep on going forward, but this position is pretty much easy. It's going to push that. Be careful now. You can still mess up pretty easily. So we're going to check first. Imagine me doing the move f6 and then bishop to c4, checking the king and attacking the rook at the same time. That would have been humiliating. We want to keep everything... Just keep everything solid, you know, no pressure. Okay, now that knight is going to be annoying. So, first of all, we're going to take this pawn in the center. And I hate playing against knights in the endgame because knights can pretty much decide what's going to happen. So we're going to do knight to d2. We're going to take the knight. And yeah, that's all she wrote. Yep, we're gonna have to play the whole game, so we gotta be on our Hikaru. Yep, they're forcing us to play the whole game. Make sure we defend every single pawn. Don't lose pawns that we do not have to lose. And this is a good training thing that you could do. Even after you're in a winning position, just make sure you don't do any unnecessary moves. We're gonna do bishop f5 here, and then just roll this pawn up. And then we are going to do the fastest checkmate in the planet. So what is the fastest checkmate in the planet? The knight is defending. Okay, make the box a little bit smaller. Keep on making the box smaller. Make sure we don't get a stalemate. Okay, good game. What y'all think?